Oh goodness. I need to do some cleaning. Here, hold on a sec. I need to not really clean. It's not about cleaning. It's more about adjusting. I'm clean. It's more about the adjusting piece. All right. So today's topic is going to be about seatbelts in the ambulance. Again, if you haven't, everyone, so many people know, where I've worked and where I come from, and the thing that I don't understand is you go on EMS Weekly or EMS One, you read all these articles, and there's probably in a year dozens of ambulance crashes documented, right? And I remember coming up as an EMT basic in 2008 and so forth, working in rural America. And there seems to be, now that I've literally traveled in East Coast to West and I've seen how EMS operates with cities who have a populace of over 1 million and cities who have a populace less than 20,000. Okay. And it seems like the organizations that have a populace with that are a small rural, okay, they're so tight and so niche that they're not willing to understand or see the scope because they don't encounter the problems. Whereas the people that are working in a high progressive system, high volume, high annual call, right? They see everything and every little mishap, every little problem, every pattern, all of the patterns of entropy begin to develop. All the patterns of chaos, they are trending, right? Whereas in rural America, it's the opposite. And one of those things is seatbelts. I remember coming up and I tell people that it's a good idea, to put your shoulder straps on, and they want to huff and puff. I worked American Medical Response in Hampton, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia, right? Chesapeake. And the FTO doesn't want to use a EMT basic FTO in this case, was rolling her eyes, huffing and puffing about me getting on to them about using shoulder straps. Okay, I come and they don't understand, I guess, a lot of people when it comes to seatbelts, that if you look at our patterns, right, our Haddon matrix, and you see across the board that frontal impacts are pretty common, right? Frontal collisions are pretty common, okay? If you're in the back and you hit in a frontal fashion, the only thing really saving the inertia of that patient going forward, ideally, if the shoulder straps are put on appropriately, are going to be two things: the shoulder strap and the bracket on the board, causing that stretcher to stay still. If the brackets break, which most of them now are either Stryker or Furno, but they're very large contraptions, they're no longer the old school deer racks, okay? Aluminum / steel alloy deer racks. Most of them are sturdy, very reinforced infrastructures that mount to the bottom of the baseboard of the ambulance. So it's a different era, contemporary material, just like China's at one point in time back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Most parts of things that we consider cheap are relatively more sturdy now. Long story short, that's not going to prevent the patient from still being subjected to inertia. This is why shoulder straps, which go over your clavicles, right, and buckle in, ideally it's good to buckle it straight into the thorax, okay? But sometimes those straps are too long, not appropriately fitted, and so you have to bring it down to the waist so it doesn't cut sometimes into the patient's neck, right? But that's the only thing that's going to save you in a forward end collision. And I've seen that for some reason that whenever I'm at work, there always seems to be entropy and subversion and sabotage when it comes to everything that I touch and everything that I do, everything that I say. But I want to get the word out there that this video is to remind you that when you get out into the field beyond your education process, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to learn. And one of those things is that there's going to be a team of people around you whose sole purpose is to cause you to deviate, whose sole purpose is to cause you to make sure that your attention is everywhere except where it needs to be. So the one thing that's going to help you safety wise, and they're not going to care about your safety, right? They're going to argue with you and make sure they undermine you. And so don't buckle to that. Okay, don't buckle to that. No pun intended. So make sure that you tell that provider in training, okay, that you're not going to ride with him or her unless the patient is buckled in. Okay. And if they have a problem with that, then you call the police and you let them know that you have somebody who is not restraining someone appropriately because it's a moving vehicle and they're a passenger, and every state has a law for that. So this is beyond HR. This is beyond your operations manager. It's beyond your FTO. Okay. And if they give you any kickback or problems with that, then you can talk to the Office of EMS and you demand a meeting. And then and eventually what you'll get to a point where you'll see where the cowards are. You'll see who's really supposed to be moral and ethical and who's really supposed to be appropriate in the professional setting. And when someone doesn't give you answers, that's when you truly see people for who they are and the organizations for who they are. So make sure that you demand that the patient be restrained, and you demand that you're not going to work, because guess what? It puts your life in jeopardy as well. Hey, that's today's paramedic message. From me to you, happy holidays.